Welcome to the broadcast, my fruits. Isn't it curious? Who might want to dominate the headlines this morning for the King's first official birthday parade? Who might tumble out of bed amidst the tumbleweed at Montecito and yawn and stretch and think, I just fancy going for a little walk. I just fancy going for a little stroll. Nowhere in particular, but I might bring my Fendi bag with me on my arm and my little ballet pumps, my little Amy Winehouse moment, my ballet pumps, my Breton stripes. I might just go for a wander around, just to yawn and stretch and see what's going on. Oh, there's a camera! Oh, don't look at me. All I'm doing is going for a stroll with my new buddy. Oh, yeah, my new buddy. Have you seen him? Of course, he's not as handsome as my Harry. Oh, no. But first of all, I was kissing Clever with Trevor. Then it was Harry that I was planning to marry. But now, my heart's gonna go in hard with the bodyguard. Oh, yes. Big burly bodyguard to protect poor little me. What do you think, my dears? Is it part of the Diana fantasy? Is this her Barry Manicky we see at her side? Who knows? But when what you have to cozy up to is a little bit on the scrawny side, and perhaps isn't as appealing as he was when he was considered royalty and respected and liked, she might want to start cozying up to other things while he is off at various local hotels, giving her a night off. Next time you go away to the hotel to do your work, because I need the space while I'm working from home. There's not enough space here with you around, so if I just send you off to the hotel down the road, next time you go, will you bring the children with you? Bring the children. It's not safe for them here. It's not safe for them here at the castle. There is not enough room for them to mill around on their new bike from the bike shop. There is not enough room. Take them with you. Take them with you. Because I have protection here in the form of my bodyguard. I'm Whitney Houston. And if you should stay, you would only be in my way. So you must go, Harry. But do know that I'll think of it every step of the way while I go for a little stretch of my legs. I'm digressing. I will first look at the wonderful happy news, because yes, she might have tried her best to upstage the king, or perhaps it was some sort of merry coincidence for the gal. I don't want to be too harsh. It could be pure coincidence that it was this morning. But this morning was certainly not ruined by anybody's efforts, because it was an absolutely, truly glorious Trooping the Colour and first birthday parade for His Majesty the King. This ceremonial moment of pomp and pageantry was beautiful, and it was very moving in parts. Even the King, I think, was overcome with a bit of emotion at times. That's how I read it anyway. The weather conditions were ideal. This is exactly how it should have been for the coronation, and it makes such a difference to a lot of the optics, I've got to say, because the morning was sunny, but it wasn't sweltering, so all the wonderful military, armed forces and services, what have you, they weren't overheating too much. But then when the balcony moment hit, it was really, really gloriously sunny. I thought it was ideal conditions. And that little extra splash of sunshine really does add so much to those balcony moments, the imagery, the colours. It was glorious. And it was made clear throughout all the ceremonials the deep connection to the forces and all in service that the king has, a very, very personal, deep connection. It made me very proud to see my monarch on his horse, riding at the age of 74. The late Elizabeth stopped riding at those kind of ceremonies. I think she was 60 years old. In 1986, that was the last time she appeared at Trooping the Colour by horse, when she was carried by Burmese. But the king has been in training with Noble for the last few weeks and months, extra training, although he is a splendid horseman and known for it. You all know about his polo playing, but He did marvellously on a very lively horse. He actually put me in mind of the Duke of Edinburgh when his face is half hidden by the bearskin hat. He looked like his father there, and then on the balcony, I'm sure tears seemed to be springing to his eyes at one moment. That might have been me reading into it. But at some moments there he looked like the late Queen, rather a lot. And what made me cry, which took me by surprise, because I wasn't really expecting to be particularly moved by this ceremony, but it was the moment when there was a surprise appearance. They had been withholding a surprise formation, and it was his King's cipher, CR, Charles Rex. And as it passed over him and towards him, and I saw their faces, and I saw the beauty of the formation, how in God's name these things are coordinated blows my mind, as it is anyway. But as it came towards the balcony and flew over, it really got me, and tears sprang to the eyes. I thought it was a beautiful moment, and the king was deeply honoured by so much of the ceremony. He took the salute for his first time as sovereign and in his role as Colonel-in-Chief of the 7 regiments of the Household Division. Queen Camilla replaces the Duke of York as Colonel of the Grenadier Guards, and the Princess of Wales is now Colonel of the Irish Guards. She took over from William in that post, and William actually replaces his father as Colonel of the Welsh Guards. And Catherine paid tribute to her position by wearing crystal-embellished emerald green on that dress by the Singapore-born designer Andrew Gunn, and her hat was by Philip Tracy, and it is similar in colour to the one that Diana wore at Trooping the Colour in 1988. Catherine wore her sapphire and diamond earrings, and she seems to be moving away from the pretty sort of pastels of yore and into these more block-coloured colourways, bright, strong, firm colours for these occasions, and in this instance with a military influence. And she wore a Cartier shamrock brooch. Emerald, of course, represents the Irish Guards, which belongs to the regiment and gets loaned out to members of the royal family. The Queen knocked my socks off. In red Fiona Clare, she knocked my socks off. And if you watch the broadcast, you know my obsession with colour and the difference in shades. So I was obsessed with the colourways of all the members of the royal family during this service, the way that the colours were paired together, the way that they change their qualities when they appear next to each other, and I was intrigued by Camilla's red. I read it as a kind of version of maraschino red, which is one of my very favourite types of red, lighter in tone than the deep scarlets of some of the military uniform. It was a lovely contrast to the scarlet. It looked wonderful with that black headgear by Philip Tracy again. It didn't blow about, very firm. The Queen's gown featured a mandarin collar, golden epaulettes and cuffs, and embossed buttons. Just delicious. All praise to the Royal Wardrobe Department. All praise to them. It is so succinct, precise, but exciting. Wonderful to see them all together in unison. This was perfection. And the children did us all very proud, travelling by carriage in the middle of the sovereign's mounted escort, which is formed by troops from the Life Guards and Blues and Royals. Red, white and blue. Charlotte was lovely, wasn't she? I loved those colourways, a sort of strawberries and cream dream, but without a sprinkling of sugar, because this is Charlotte we're talking about. And this gal is no nonsense, with her elaborate updo and the spirit of her Auntie Anne. And by the way, the Queen was also given Scotland's highest royal honour by the King. I think it was announced last night, the Order of the Thistle, which can only be bestowed by the King. And the announcement read, "The King has been most graciously pleased to appoint the Queen to the most ancient and most noble Order of the Thistle. This was established by King James VII of Scotland, otherwise known here as James II, in 1687. Other members of that order include William and Anne. There aren't many members, but there are those two plus various members of the aristocracy, lords and ladies, that kind of thing. So Camilla joins them, and this honour is second only to the Order of the Garter. And in further announcements for birthday honours, of course, it included many of the great and good and the unsung, people that we'll never know about or hear about, out in communities doing wonderful things. But some notable famous names that received honours included Davina McCall, very popular presenter here in the kingdom, is honoured as an MBE. Ian Wright, the footballer, OBE. The former hostage, Terry Waite, receives a knighthood. And that honour also goes to the director of the movie The Queen. Remember the one featuring Helen Mirren? Yes, Stephen Frears, the director of that film, receives a knighthood as well. Dame Anna Wintour, the iconic editor of Vogue, receives an even higher honour as she joins the elite Companions of Honour alongside Sir Ian McEwan. The Duchess of Edinburgh had a charming escort while her husband Edward was busy doing his business, along with, of course, Princess Royal, who were in full military uniforms. But Sophie travelled alongside Anne's husband, Sir Timothy Lawrence, and she was very elegant in creamy white. She rarely gets it wrong, doesn't she? Gorgeous hat, I love that. Huge creamy confection, wonderful. But no children this time. No children. We like to see Lady Lou, don't we? Especially as she's becoming really rather glamorous as she progresses through spring. And no James Earl of Wessex either, our little Jimmy Seven. But you can't really blame them. I expect they get rather shy of these kind of affairs all the time going on. They just want to be teenagers, don't they? Got to let them get on with it sometimes. Sophie wore jewellery in gold and silver, which you don't see much together, do you? But it is done in certain circles. I was actually obsessed with gold and silver together and a bit of bronze. Sounds like I was going for the Olympics, doesn't it? But I was obsessed with those colours together because I can remember being 3 or 4 and being gifted at a birthday some magic markers, or what were they? Little metallic pens, you know? And those kind of things are so intriguing for little ones, aren't they? Don't you think? They would obsess me, and I was obsessed with anything, well, that sparkles, as you know, jewels, but also the metallics. So I loved silvers and golds, would always draw them, paint them together, put them together, and yes, I'm not against it whatsoever. So well done, Sophie. Something different. Anne was dutiful in her military uniform, and our faithful friend the Plume came in for an appearance. Hello, Plume, we missed you, we love you. I'm afraid your nemesis isn't about today to obscure, but it's nice to know that you're still hanging around. The crowds were swarming. If you didn't think that anyone was going to turn up for this sovereign, you were sorely mistaken. Harkles, yes, full of enthusiasm, very supportive crowds enjoying the day. There were funny faces galore for the children. The Duke of Kent was seen looking very smart and helped to his feet a few times by a courteous soldier that was there to tend to him. Very nice. And on the balcony for the final scene, there were 14 royals in total. Some newspapers I saw were reporting just 11 and focusing on one side of the pillar, but actually there were 3 other royals, elders of the family, to the right-hand side. I must say, for my personal taste, I thought they could have been made to move along and shuffle in front of the pillar so that they weren't segregated from the rest of the royal family. I don't know if it was done intentionally. I'm sure it wasn't done rudely or thoughtlessly, but I would have just liked to see those 3 extra acknowledged. They've earned their place and to be moved along so that it was just one unit. But for most photographs, you just saw the capsule wardrobe of 11 royals. But altogether, there were their Majesties, the Wales family, the Princess Royal and Sir Timothy Lawrence, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, and then on the right, the Duke of Kent, the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester. So, after the niceties of royal business, and all that is good and proper, and with the satisfaction that their day was not at all ruined by the appearance of another Duchess, the Duchess of Sussex, we must turn to her, because apart from the fact that everything has been dropping, like flies, dead flies from a window, all of her projects, drop, 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 drop. Well, I certainly don't discount the fact that she is scurrying and flurrying away behind the scenes trying to get things together for the TIG, the grand announcement of that trashy affair, which we've got to look forward to. We all know it's coming, and we all know that there is nothing they won't do in their search for the grift and the grind. And they've been criticised for grifting by none other than Bill Simmons, head of podcast innovation and monetization at Spotify, who has condemned the Sussexes. Oh dear, and this has been making a real old splash. He's been going for them. I've got to say, I don't know anything about this chap. And I'm not especially enamoured of his style of language, so I can't say if he is worth his salt. He goes in a little bit too hard for my liking for a professional. So I'm not here to sing his praises, but I do find it extremely intriguing what he had to say. because he called them, using rather fruity language, a particular type of grifter, and said, that's the podcast we should have launched with them. Well, I must agree with you there, Billy Simmons. I must agree with you there. It would have been a perfect title for the podcast. And they could even have sent off for a patent for it, couldn't they? And to copyright the title rather than try and snatch a word from ancient Greece or the classical world, such as archetypes, and claim it for their own. Yes. And then came the moment of intrigue. I've got to get drunk one night and tell the story of the Zoom I had with Harry to try and help him with a podcast idea. It's one of my best stories. Well, Mr. Simmons, we're all ears, and we're waiting, and we would welcome you to tell us exactly what went on in this Zoom call, wouldn't we, my fruities? We would love to know, and the world is waiting with bated breath. Pray tell exactly what was said. I'm sure we'll be delighted to hear it. Yes, this is the head of podcast innovation and monetization at Spotify coming out with this. Isn't it terrible? They're all told that every colleague with Harry and Meghan just falls in love with them. They're wonderful people. Yada yada yada, blah 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 blah, etc., etc., etc. No! You ain't the King of Siam, my dear. You ain't Yul Brynner, although you might have a similar hairdo. You are Prince Harry, the puke of Sussex, and I'm afraid that not everybody is buying what you're selling. Yes, you've got your fans, and you've also got your deadpans who are just not convinced by you, my dear, not buying it. So that is always very welcome news to hear about. And it's not the first time this character has had harsh words for them. Last January he blasted Harry, saying that he was embarrassed to be affiliated with the same company. And regarding archetypes, Judy Williamson left a comment saying, Meghan had some excellent guests, but she refused to have a simple conversation allowing the guests to talk about their life and their struggles. She wanted to turn the conversation to herself at every juncture. You almost expected her to turn to the guest and say, I think I'm pretty wonderful. What do you think about me? That is very well observed, Judy Williamson. Very well observed. I couldn't really agree with you any more. Yes, she wanted to turn the conversation to herself at every juncture, which one wouldn't mind if she had something of value to tell us. But how many times do we need to go back to the Immaculate Heart again? When I was a girl, when I was a young feminist, when I wrote off to the detergent commercial makers, when I was heading up as principal of the Argentine embassy, when I was Queen of Argentina. Argentina, call for me. Don't cry for me, Argentina, don't cry. I'm now a princess of the United Kingdom and all her realms, on the way to queenhood. Really? No, we don't buy it. How many times do people want to hear that claptrap? They don't. Not one more. Not one more. Even her fans out there, those saccharine kinds, even those saccharine sorts, they're thinking, okay, shut up, enough. We've heard it enough. We're hearing it in our sleep. We hear it day after day after day. We hear it in our padded cell. Yes, all those saccharine ones in their straitjackets. We hear it. I grew up in the Immaculate Heart. Yes, I grew up in the Immaculate Heart. I was smart. I wasn't the pretty one, even though I'm beautiful. I was the smart one. No, you weren't the smart one. No, you weren't the pretty one either, but there's nothing wrong with that. You were just Rachel. You are just Rachel. And there's nothing wrong with Rachel. So please stop ramming down our throats that you're all these other kind of things, my dear. No, you are a grifter, as Bill Simmons tells us. And hey, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of grift and grind, a little bit of hustle bustle, bun, honey bun. There's nothing wrong with a little dose of that. Just don't try and tell us that you are anything else or something more superior, or Mother Teresa, or Queen Elizabeth II, or Cleopatra. You ain't, lover, you ain't. And before any Fruit Loops stop by and say, well, River, you can talk. You're sitting there in a makeshift throne and a pretend crown and costume jewellery. Because you do get those Fruit Loops occasionally. It's called a bit of drag, love. It's called a comedy show. Are you really so straight-jacketed and padded-celled in your Meghan Markledom that you don't understand a little bit of jollity and a little bit of fun and a bit of the dressing up box of life? Do you really think that I take myself as seriously as the Duchess of Sussex, that I will sign off with a curlicue and a quilt pen? You really think so, my dear? Oh, my love. Have you ever been to a theatre? Have you ever seen a bit of pantomime? Have you ever popped a bit of rouge on the face? Have you ever slipped on the high heels for a night on the town? Life is a bit of drag, my dear. So don't take yourself so seriously. Don't take the world so seriously. And also, get real. Get with the programme. And while you're at it, get a life. Get a life, my dear. Cool it down, cool it down. It's what I told you. Meghan Markle does have what it takes to get richer, 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 and start merchy, worchy, dirty, virtue, arrivederci. All she's got to do is drop the taking herself so seriously act. And I think that is what her agents will get her to do. Yes, it is time for her to lower the bar. Lower the bar. I'm not convinced that we'll be seeing her gracing the covers of Vogue again. But do I think we will see her gracing the cover of Time magazine? Photoshopped to within an inch of their lives. Telling us that they are the world's most influential, powerful people, or people of the year. I can't even remember what it was now, my love. But do we really think that they lived up to that premise of time? You had your time, love. You had it. And you were rolling in clover, weren't you, in the wake of the Oprah scandal and the awful, hideous, bigoted royal family scandal. Well, a couple of years on, the tables have turned, my dear. And guess who warned you that they might? His Majesty, the King, because we see him today standing on a balcony for his first King's Birthday Parade, trooping the colour, beloved by his subjects, admired the world over, and I'm afraid his star is only on the ascendant, while as your twinkle, twinkle, little star, with Harry Bold, my dear, is light years away, so far that the light cannot be felt on this globe. So go and enjoy your walk in the Hollywood Hills with your bodyguard, and I hope that your husband is enjoying his night off, probably with the children as well. And I hope that my fruities too have a wonderful weekend and enjoy yourselves. Thank you for sharing some fruity moments with me. My love to you all, and ta-ra for now. Leave me a nice juicy comment, and if I made you chuckle, my tip jar is in the description box, my privy purse, and I thank you most sincerely. Take care, my dears. Toodle pip. And see you next time.